Been a minute since we did one of these, but there are new Hammond collection figures that have been out and are coming out. Let's talk briefly first, well, about the figure we're doing, which is the new Rebirth Dilophosaurus. But let's talk about the wave in general. So this wave is Indominus, Scorpius Rex, and then if we look here at the back of the box for the small figures, it's Mutodon, Dilophosaurus, and Hypsilophodon. So this wave is basically 3 hybrids slash mutants and 2 repaints, ultimately, which makes it a little bit of a disappointing wave for me, especially. Both the Indominus and the Scorpius Rex have been controversial figures because of the implementation of them. People complain a lot about the Indominus color scheme, and the Scorpius Rex is just hideous. They did some crazy shit with its teeth. Additionally, these figures have been available for like more than a month or something, I think, at a brick and mortar like Mattel location. And only just now are they reaching proper broad release at Target. So people have like had these figures in their hands and been doing reviews for quite a while, and I'm only just getting them. And when I say I'm only just getting them, I'm meaning I'm getting the Dilo and the Hypsilophodon. I do not yet have my hands on an Indominus Rex. That has been the chase figure. And the Scorpius and the Mutodon are unaccounted for in the broader release as well. So I don't know what's going on with those two. Who knows when I'll get those. I'm hoping to find an Indominus on the shelf. I'm checking kind of multiple times a week now that the street date is out and they're supposed to exist, but I have not had any luck yet. So yeah, kind of a weird wave, both in terms of like content and execution. And so that's just kind of the situation there. The honestly, the Dilo might be one of my more anticipated figures from the line, so that's why we're doing him first, since I have him and whatnot. So the package does have a little screenshot there of the Rebirth Dilo with a little blurb describing its meager role in the film. In terms of the Rebirth Dilo design, it's no JP1 Dilo, but it's leagues better than the Minion version, which is super bland. I do like this like spotted frill they gave it. I prefer the original kind of like oil slick, almost like rainbow look to the JP93 Dilo, but this is a pretty acceptable alternative in my mind. And of course, the existing Dilo figure, which I have here for comparison in the Hammond collection line, was a fairly early figure and suffers a bit for that. It's got the really oversized feet, and it's there's room for improvement, Let's say that. I did rank, of course, you can see it here on the tier list. I did rank the Dilo as a low A. So yeah, I mean, it's not like I hated the original version. So let's crack this guy open. I mean, we're expecting pretty standard stuff here. Oh, we got a little, whatever. There's a little tape on the bottom, but yeah, there's the packaging. Yeah, you have a neck piece. You have the proper expanded frill tucked in back there, and then the tail in the bottom of the packaging. All very standard. The normal small figure stuff we are used to. Yeah, there's a shot of the frill unattached from the figure itself. Let's extract him from his tomb of precious oil and take a look at him properly assembled here. All right, so here's what we got with him removed from the packaging. Immediate comments: the tail feels a little on the short side. Not terribly surprising that it might be that way. The jaw does not close very well. This is about the extent to which it will close. Even if I try to force it close, it kind of just pops back open there a bit. It's not the worst look we've had to a jaw that doesn't properly close, but it is disappointing that that would be the case. The frill feels very weird and tacked on with the way it's like this clip-on piece here that very much stands out from the rest of the figure, but that's kind of to be expected with the just with how, colorful the frill is. The arms are very flimsy, and fairly loose in terms of the joint placement and the rotation. They do rotate, but the way the joints are on the figure there, the way they're, designed makes the arm rotation not look very good. I think you can kind of see that, how awkward that looks there. Meaning that the only way the arms actually look good is putting them in like the default bunny hands position, which means there's no way to like fix the wrist orientation on this figure because there's no actual articulation here. You've got no choice but to go with the incorrect wrist positioning. Yeah, the eyes are painted on these small ones now. No glass eyes. I think the glass eyes in a lot of cases look kind of crap in my opinion, so I don't really care about that. We have painted fingernails and toenails. Oh man, the orientation of my like trying to like it's been a while since I've done one of these. I can't like yeah, there we go. Some good focus. I'm having trouble like orientating myself with the camera. But yeah, you can see the nails are painted there pretty good. The dew claws are present, sculpted, but unpainted. The paint job in general on this guy's kind of interesting and weird. He's got these like, let's let this camera try to focus. He's got like these kind of brown splotches, and then the green stripes are painted over the splotches, which is a weird like color combo to do. You can kind of see them down the tail and the body there. It's different. I'll give it that. It also just kind of looks a little weird from the top with like the mixture of these like unconnected stripes, but then you get like this solid coloring down the tail that just, off to the side has the stripes that come off of it. Kind of strange. In terms of the tail articulation and paint job, it does get a little weird where you can kind of see the gap there, where the unpainted part shines through, where the softer part of the tail connects to the harder part of the body. It's another minor thing. I've complained before about the paint job sometimes not being very well matched on like the tails versus the body. This one looks good. I don't notice any egregious difference in the colors, unlike some of the other ones where the tails really stood out. What else? Well, I guess we should try to switch out the frill here. I don't know. So these small figures, like, they don't really come with instructions anymore, yeah? Like, what is the actual mechanism? Okay, so the frill, there is no mechanism. It just clips on and off. And I suppose that's true too for the extended frill. I will say, removing the frill, his neck looks very, very thin given the thickness of the back of the skull here. It's got that weird look of almost like an arm or like a sock puppet, but it's kind of expected given the circumstance. This one, honestly, the frill does a lot of nice, like a good job. The closed frill does a good job of hiding the thinness of the neck. I think there's probably an argument for keeping that for that reason. What's the expected like placement of the frill? It goes behind the head. Yeah, there's like this picture here on the box, right? Where it looks like it's got this like forward posture. Like the head is angled forward of the body in like a straight line. Doesn't really seem like the articulation works in a way that you can really do that. Like this is the maximum upward tilt the head can have, I think. And you can tilt it downward more, but like there's no way to get it like all that straight in line with the body. Kind of like the best you can do is like tilting the body down a little bit and then getting the head like kind of up. Yeah, like I don't know how the box art really is configured to look like that. Like legitimately, like is this deceptive advertising? I don't think this pose is possible. I don't think you can actually make it that linear. Because it really seems to me that like the head does not have that much of a range of articulation. Like you could do it like that. That's like the best you can get. But then it's like very much tilted downward. Like that's not really selling it, right? Like that the linearity of that pose on the packaging. Yeah, no, that's 1,000% not the same. Right? I'm not crazy. That's a different figure. That neck articulation is not possible, actually. Huh. I think that's the first time I feel like the box has literally lied to me about the range of motion of the figure. Um, that's not great to see. That is not good. Well, that's what he looks like though with the frill out. I mean the frill itself does a decent job of hiding the size issues with the neck. Although it does end up feeling a little on the small side, I think, just given the portrayal of the frill in media. Yeah. Well, let's look at the comparison. So side by side dialos, right? Try to get them aligned. Um, so it is a different frill piece. It is not a repainted frill. It's actually completely different. So the Rebirth frill has these little spines along the edge, and the original one doesn't. This is much smoother. You can see the V under the throat there is completely different. It's much wider here, and then this one is much more narrow. A much smaller little V. The arms are different too, surprisingly. I really expected this to pretty much be a one-to-one repaint, except probably with new feet. But I think the arms are actually newly sculpted. This is gonna be really hard to try to like the hands more so, but the fingers on. Okay, let's try it like this, one at a time. So, uh, the fingers on this one are very similar length. Specifically, I think if you look at the hand, like edge on, right? Can I even possibly show this on camera? Yeah, like the nail length ends up being very similar. And then on this guy, the middle finger is a little longer. Is that like a really minor detail? Yes, but it shows that maybe, they actually did bother sculpting new components. The head sculpt's probably new too. You can look at the finger-like extensions on the back of the crest and compare them to the existing one, and they are longer. The crests themselves are much more rounded and a little bit more lumpy across the top here, right? So it's a new head sculpt too, actually, which is surprising. Yeah, the shape of the crest is different, the texture is different. Even like the depth of the skull. This guy's skull in general, even ignoring the crest, is taller, like that upper jaw, compared to the original version here. You can see this one has a narrower skull. The neck piece is presumably the same. And then if we look at the torsos, see the torso might be a 1-to-1. Like, it might be the same torso piece, but that's like not surprising. Yeah, I think the torso's repaint. Because the big thing I can see here that gives it away is the chest. If you look at the underside of the chest here, you can see there's like two lines between the arms, and they are present on the original. Right? There's kind of two lines there on the underside of the chest. So the chest piece is reused. The legs. So the legs are different. The thigh might be reused, but the big difference here is the original Dilo does not have an ankle joint. He can rotate. The foot does stuff down here, and it does stuff at the knee, but this part doesn't move. That's not true for the new one. He has an additional joint here that was not present on the original, for more posability. I'm actually kind of surprised at the amount of changes made to the basic sculpt of the figure. And of course, I mean, this didn't really need to be mentioned, but yes, the clown shoes have been resolved. The feet are much smaller on the new one, as you would have expected based on every other new figure we've gotten. They're better. So, I gotta say that at a glance, it seems like a much better sculpt overall. Well, much better is maybe doing heavy lifting. It seems like a better sculpt. It seems like it is noticeably improved. I would have preferred the capability to fix the hands, but what are you going to do? Let's talk accuracy, right? That's a factor that, comes into the tier list here. Let's look at this. This is a promotional render of the Dilo, giving you mostly a good look at the front view and the patterning of the frill. I think they do a decent job here on the frill. I would say the biggest failing of the frill coloring, right? You got this nice red, and then it goes out into these orange and yellows as you approach out to the edge. But out here on the side, the render is green, and this is just becomes red again. So it's not exactly accurate in that regard. They did put the spots on there, which I think are one of the better parts of this new design from Rebirth. Again, I prefer the original, but like this is vastly improved over the Dominion version. So I appreciate that. Not much else to really say about design quality from that. I mean, like, this pose here that they have this Dilo in is pretty awkward. I guess the big thing is, yeah, you could see how much bigger the frill is in the render versus the toy frill. Right? The toy frill is like a little over maybe like twice the size of the crest versus the top of the skull. I would say it should be out about like this far, like more like 3 times the height of the crest based on the render. And then, yeah, the bottom size, I mean, honestly, if anything, maybe the issue is that the frill on the new figure is too round. Because if you look at the frill in the render, it's very ovular. Like, it extends up. It's not round. It actually extends up much higher up at the top. Oh, my camera's kind of in the way. I'm sorry. There we go. Yeah, now you can actually see what I'm talking about with the render. Yeah, the frill has a very oval profile to it. You can see those little spikes coming off the sides though, so I appreciate the fact that they actually went and redesigned the frill to actually have those little spines on it. Um, Surprisingly decent amount of detail on that. And here's the film version of the animal as you see it with the back shot. So, with the from behind, this is completely inaccurate, right? This is what the actual figure looks like from behind. The back of the frill is essentially unpainted, undetailed, whereas it should be this really flat yellow-orange with these spots. And then the back of the animal actually looks more like turquoise stripes, not this like brownish green. And in general, the color of the animal is different a bit too. I would say this guy is a little too lightly beige colored. And the animal in the film looks a little more greenish, but part of that might be the coloring of the lighting of the scene actually, really. So it's not like outside the range of it. I would say the stripes though definitely should have more of a blue tint to them on the body than this like greenish brown. Or brownish green is maybe a better way to say that. But definitely the biggest thing is just the fact that the frill kind of looks like unpainted from the back. Well, that's about really all we can comment on with accuracy, I would say. Comparing the two, I mean, the gold standard is still going to be the Amber Collection Dilo. That's definitely still better. It's definitely a better figure. But how much better? That is the real question. I am a bit torn on that regard. Because it's, not perfect. I think the Stiggy is more accurate, honestly, to what the animal is, probably. But I feel like this deserves some credit for, like, doing what it does. Honestly, my inclination is to put it just ahead of the other Dilo. I don't think it's a substantial improvement. I mean, it is, but it isn't like so substantial that it jumps a whole tier or half tier. This is just the Dilo. It's an inferior version of the Dilo in the film universe rendered better, right? So we've got a animal that I like less rendered in a more accurate way, which is why it deserves to go ahead of the original, fixing especially the issues with the feet. But I can't really, in good conscience, like, put it much further ahead than that. Because I think the Stiggy is a more accurate figure overall for the animal than this one is. And this one suffers from, it does suffer from, quality control issue in the sense that the jaw doesn't properly close. So there's that angle to things too. But I'm happy with it overall. I mean, I think this does put this ahead of the rest of the entire last wave, essentially, right? Which was Mosaurus, Dryosaurus, Ornitholestes, which is there, and Sinoceratops, which is there. And that's probably fair, I think, that it goes there. It's just not terribly exciting, but it is. Yeah, see, that's the problem with this figure, right? It's an improvement, it's better, but it's a small linear upgrade over on a figure that already exists, right? So that's why it's not exciting. It's better, but not exciting. I think that is the thesis statement. That is the conclusion of this entire episode. It's a better but unexciting Dilo figure. The end.